Okay, let's talk about the year 1492. Now, it's a date we all know, but probably for just one reason, right? What we're going to do here is unpack how that single year was really the flashpoint for two enormous, world-changing events that were completely and tragically connected.
So this is the big question. How can one year, the very same year, be the starting pistol for a massive global empire and at the same time the final nail in the coffin for a community that had existed for centuries? The thing is, these weren't two different stories. They were one.
And this whole story, it doesn't actually start on the high seas. It starts on the ground, in Spain, with a single decision that would bring an entire era to a brutal end.
So picture it, January 1492, the last Muslim kingdom in Spain, Granada, finally falls to the Catholic monarchs Ferdinand and Isabella. For them, this was it, the end of a centuries-long reconquest. And once that military goal was met, their focus snapped from conquering land to, well, purifying it.
And that led, just a couple of months later, to this, the Alhambra Decree. This was the official order that presented the Jewish people of Spain with a totally impossible choice. You either convert to Catholicism, or you pack your bags and leave the only home you've ever known.
I mean, just listen to the language. From the decree itself, it is so cold, so final, there's no wiggle room there. Leave our kingdoms and never to return. This was a total severing of a community from roots that had been growing for over 1,000 years.
In the human cost, it's just staggering. We're talking about tens of thousands of people, an entire population forced to sell their homes, their businesses, everything, for practically nothing, and just flee. They became refugees, scattered all across Europe and North Africa.
But you know, as this one door was being slammed shut so violently, another one was creaking open, leading out into a complete unknown.
Because while all this tragedy is unfolding, there's also this story of incredible ambition brewing. You've got this one sailor, Christopher Columbus, who has finally convinced the very same monarchs, Ferdinand and Isabella, to bankroll his wild plan to sail west to get to the east.
So what was driving him? Well, it was a pretty powerful mix of motivations. On the one hand, he wanted a shortcut to the spice markets in Asia, sure, but he also promised to bring back piles of gold for Spain and this is key, to plant the flag of the Catholic faith in any new lands he stumbled upon. Okay, so this is where it all clicks into place. The expulsion and the exploration, these weren't just happening around the same time. They were two parts of the same playbook, coming from the very same rulers. You can almost think of it as two sides of the same coin. The Alhambra Decree was about creating a pure, unified Catholic nation at home. And funding Columbus? That was about projecting that very same Catholic power out into the world. It was about cleaning house and building an extension at the exact same time.
And when you look at the timeline, it's just bam, bam, bam. January, the war is won. By March, the expulsion is ordered. The final deadline for Jews to get out or convert is August 2nd. And the very next day, August 3rd, Columbus's ships are heading out to sea. It's an absolutely breathtaking chain of events.
It all makes a kind of chilling sense when you put it side by side. The decree's goal? Religious purity. The action? Expel anyone who doesn't conform. The voyage's goal? Imperial expansion. The action? Go claim new lands for the faith. You see? One created a unified Catholic nation, the other, a global Catholic empire.
And here's where the timing gets really incredible. Almost poetic in a tragic way. That deadline for Jews to leave Spain, August 2nd, happened to be the date of Tisha B'Av on the Jewish calendar, the single most sorrowful day of the year, mourning ancient tragedies. Columbus set sail the very next morning. A coincidence? Maybe, but it's a powerful, heartbreaking, historical fact.
So what's the fallout from all this? Well, the legacy of 1492 would ripple for centuries across the very ocean that Columbus just opened up to the world.
And this, right here, is the great irony of the whole story. The Atlantic Ocean became the superhighway for Spanish power, for conquest, for empire. But that same body of water and the lands on the other side would eventually become something completely different, an escape route.
Just let that sink in for a moment. The new world that was opened up in the name of religious purity would centuries later become a safe harbor for the descendants of the very people who were expelled in the name of that purity. It's an incredible twist of history. And that leaves us with a huge question, one that really sets the stage for everything that comes next. What happens when the descendants of the exiled start to show up in the lands of the explorers? It's a story of new beginnings, old conflicts, and a search for a home, and it all gets kicked off in this one monumental year, 1492.